Kidnap the Santa Claus, tie him in a bag. P.S. I totally did not intend to be wearing pigtails in every clip of this video. Total coincidence. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. My name is Patrick Bradshaw and I don't know what I'm doing. This morning I got up and tried to write like Sylvia. Future Rayleigh here, popping in to explain what the heck this video is because I did not explain it very well the first time around. This video was made in collaboration with 4 other amazing Authortubers: Novelly KJ, Chloe Elizabeth, Sylvia from Write Your Life, and Amara Franklin. We all got together and decided to see what would happen if we swapped writing routines and tried to write like the other person. And so Novelly KJ is trying out my writing routine and I am trying out Sylvia's. And while we're on the subject of collabs and amazing Authortubers, if you haven't seen it already, Meredith E. Phillips put together an amazing collab video introducing, I think it was like 17 Authortubers, and a lot of them I had never heard of before, and I found some new favorites. So that was amazing. She was kind enough to feature me in that collaboration video as well. So if you are looking for some more really awesome channels, I will link that video down below. But without further ado, let's get into this collab. So Sylvia emailed me her writing schedule and I've got it here in front of me. This is what I followed this morning and I'm going to show you how it went. So the very first thing that she does is she wakes up and goes for a 20-minute walk, and she listens to a playlist that goes along with her book, I believe. I did not do a 20-minute walk because I'm actually preparing to run a half marathon with my mother and my sisters, and so I had to run 3 miles this morning. If I didn't already have a fitness routine that I needed to keep up with, to not get behind on, I would have just done the 20-minute walk. But as it was, I got up a little bit earlier so that I could do my run, took a shower, and then came home and picked up her routine where I left it off. So the next thing she does when she's done with her 20-minute walk, she makes a cup of tea, and she was very specific about the kind of tea she makes. A pomegranate tea with heavy whipping cream and 2 packets of stevia in the raw. Now I just happened to have some pomegranate tea on hand. This actually wasn't my tea, this was my mother's tea that was in her cabinet, and I took it out and I made some. But since I don't do dairy, I used this alternative dairy creamer, which this is my first time using it and I did not realize that it was brown. I didn't have stevia in the raw packets, but I did have some liquid stevia, so I just did 2 little squirts of stevia in there and it was not bad. It was actually pretty good. Sylvia does not eat breakfast because she does intermittent fasting, which worked out perfectly for me because I also do intermittent fasting, and I do not eat my first meal of the day until around noon before she sits down to write. She said she actually puts on her writing sweater and she wears this sweater whether it's winter or summer, spring or fall. She calls this sweater her writing cap. I thought, you know, I do have a sweater that I would call my writing sweater because one that my sister designed for me last Thanksgiving. It's like my Thanksgiving / NaNoWriMo writing shirt. So I thought maybe I'll get that out, but that is actually way in storage. And also it was like 100 degrees outside and really stuffy and muggy in my room, and the last thing I wanted to do was put on a sweater. So I tried to think, what else could I use as my thinking cap? And I realized that I do have something already, and it is lighting a candle. That is kind of what I consider to be my thinking cap. I don't have anything physical that I wear, but lighting a candle does set the mood for me and establish in my brain that it's time to start writing. And so I lit a candle in lieu of wearing a writing sweater. So with her tea and her writing sweater all ready to go, Sylvia begins with a little planning session. So she pulls out her planner and looks at what she needs to write today. She writes down the date, the day of the week, her starting word count, and starting time. Then she goes in, turns on her computer and her double monitor. I also have a double monitor, so that worked out well for me. So the way Sylvia starts was confusing to me, and she told me I could reach out and ask her questions about this. I wanted to try to figure out on my own, doing it for the first time, but I think I am going to reach out to her and ask for some clarification as to what she has going on here, because this is what she said. First thing she does is she pulls up a Scrivener file, and then she opens Google Docs and copies and pastes everything that she has written into a Google Doc. And then in the Scrivener file, she writes, revises, and edits between 900 and 2,000 words is her goal for per day. And then she goes over to the Google Doc and edits and revises there as well. So to me, this sounds like she edits as she goes. Every piece that she writes per day, she writes it, revises it, and edits it that same day. It sounds like she does this not once but twice in the day. It sounds like she does it first in the Scrivener file, and then she goes over to the Google Doc and does it again there. That can't possibly be right, can it? My mind is kind of blown a little bit. I cannot imagine working this way. I'm gonna try this again tomorrow morning, and I'm actually going to reach out to Sylvia and ask her for clarifications on the whole Google Docs revising, editing thing and see what she says. So I talked to Sylvia. I was just way overthinking things, it turns out. Okay, so this is how it really works for Sylvia. I totally get it now because she's using what she likes about Scrivener and what she likes about Google Docs to make her writing process more smooth. And I get that because I do the same thing, but I do it in reverse. So Sylvia likes to draft in Scrivener and then she likes to edit in Google Docs. I do the opposite. I like to draft in Google Docs and then copy and paste that into Scrivener, and then I like to edit in Scrivener. Her way actually does make more sense because Google Docs will save as you go and has a few other features that does make it more convenient for editing. And when I outlined my current work in progress, I wasn't using Scrivener. Outlining in Scrivener is kind of new to me. So this book that Sylvia is working on is actually the 5th book that she has written. She will outline in Scrivener and write the first draft in Scrivener, and right now it sounds like she's in the editing process. So that's why when she sits down to write for the day, she opens her Scrivener file, she copies the section that she wants to work on for the day and pastes it into Google Docs, and then she'll do her revisions and edits for the day there. Oh, this makes so much more sense. I was way overthinking it, getting myself all confused, but this makes a lot of sense. She already has the draft written, and now she's just going in and revising and editing it in Google Docs. In that case, I don't think I failed so miserably after all, because I ended up kind of just doing what I normally do because I didn't get what I was supposed to do for her method. So I ended up drafting in Google Docs and then going and copying and pasting it in Scrivener. So I basically did it her way, but just in reverse, which is kind of my way. I couldn't really do it her way because that would mean that I already had my original draft in Scrivener, which I did not. So I think I did the best that I could given the way my book is currently organized. So now that that's all cleared up, let's get back to the day that I actually did this. So she actually writes from, it sounds like 8 in the morning until noon, taking a break every 30 minutes for 5 to 10 minutes. And then at noon, that is when her writing session is over, and regardless of where she is, even if she's mid-sentence, she has to stop at noon. And she said she prefers doing it this way because it helps her dive back in the next day, especially if she's like mid-sentence. It makes it easier for her to just jump back in where she left off. So at the end of her session, she will write her ending word count and the ending time, and then she'll write down her total word count for the day. And then she writes down a summary of everything she wrote that day, any questions she has or any research that needs to be done, anything that she wasn't able to fill out. She just writes notes to herself, basically, of how the writing session went and what needs to be changed moving forward. If there's time, she'll also write for an hour after dinner, and she stops eating at 5 p.m. So she'll have dinner at like 5 and then try to write for an hour after that if she has time. I will not have time to do that because I'm a full-time student and I do homework from noon until I go to bed, basically, so I'm not gonna have time to write anymore today. During her evening writing session, she will back everything up on a USB drive, and then in the evening time, she will plan her writing for the next day based on what she'd gotten done that day. So there's a lot of planning involved, a lot of planning, a lot of note-taking, there's just a lot, much more than I have going on in my current writing routine. And so I was really excited when she first sent me her routine to try this out. And I realized it's not something you can just dive into in one day, because this routine relies on having planned things out ahead of time. I mean, after she finishes her writing session, she'll plan for the next day's session. And so I didn't have any plans already laid out when I started this morning. So I was already behind, and I realized that this writing session, because it's so involved and there were so many pieces to it, and a lot of it I didn't fully understand, it makes sense to me why my session today failed. And so I decided I'm going to actually try her writing routine for a couple of days in a row. So my life suddenly got really busy, and it turns out that Sylvia's writing routine doesn't quite work with my new schedule. So I'm glad I was able to do it that one day, but to be completely honest, I haven't had a chance to do it again, and I really wanted to. I wanted to do it several days in a row to kind of get better at it, but that will have to wait for another time of my life, because right now my mornings are for the most part taken up with work and school and other things. And this collab was due like a week and a half ago, so I just have to post it now. Here are the things that I liked about Sylvia's routine. I like that she starts with a walk and that she listens to a playlist. I think it would be nice to listen to music while I run, especially if it's music that has to do with my book. I think that would just really get the creative juices flowing and kind of get me feeling motivated about my writing. So I really like that, and I think I will adopt that for my writing routine. Just go for a nice simple walk before writing and listen to some music. Another thing I really want to take away from Sylvia's writing routine is just how much she makes sure that she backs everything up, not once, but like twice or 3 times. She has everything saved in multiple locations, and I am terrible about backing up my work, and so that's something that I'm really glad I was able to learn from her, and I hope that this is a habit that I will stick with, to be able to back up all of my work. Things that didn't work out so well with me. Just right now, it didn't quite work with my schedule to work the hours that she works. She writes pretty much from 8 o'clock in the morning until noon, and then also doing the Pomodoro technique. I find I like doing that for some things. I don't so much like doing it with writing. I'm more of the kind of person who would rather just write through, because the more I write, the more it comes to me, and if I stop to take breaks in between, it to me feels like starting all over again every time I sit down after a break to write. But it was good to try anyway. Thank you so much to Sylvia for sending me your writing routine. It was really fun to try, and actually really helpful for me, so I'm excited to incorporate these techniques that I have learned from Sylvia into my own writing routine. And my writing routine, to be honest, is kind of under construction at this current moment in time. You know, that's just the way things go when you are a student and working and you got a new job and all of that jazz. You can see all of that in my upcoming vlog that I will be posting of my August adventures. Spoiler alert, there are some baby squirrels. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you learned a thing or two from this, and don't forget to go and check out all of the other Authortube videos that were part of this collab. I will talk to you next time. Bye! It's collab time! Oh my gosh, what am I even doing? I don't know. You trying to push my camera over on purpose? Whatever. And 2 packets of stevia in the raw.
Would you come and take a walk with me? We'll cross over the mountains and we'll reach the pale blue sea. I love you, I'm so glad you love me too, and I wrote this song for you.